Oh, yeah. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We did expect a few more, so I don't know if they may show up or not. We are just here to celebrate National Breastfeeding Month. We are here to support the Oakland Better Birth Foundation for Samsarah. I appreciate all the raffle tickets Elle has sold.
Yeah.
You good?
Thank you.
Okay, we're getting some raffle. We will, after this, of course, we have a couple speeches. We will raffle, we'll see who gets the 50-50, and I would expect you just give it back. So I hope you enjoyed some snacks. Thank you again so much. Shapewell is very supportive of everything that is good, and this is good. This is good. Shapewell is good. Also, always like to
Tim is good.
Tim is good. They're always here on the Monday nights for me, so thank you. And I will pass it on to Samsarah.
You'll go away right away.
So I also would like to thank everybody for being here, and I would like to thank folks with good intentions of being here. I think Monday night's a challenging night, and there's still folks who are saying they're on their way, so that'll be great. But in the meantime, we wanted to get started, and one of the first things that I wanted to do is give big thanks to my beautiful friend Tim for opening up this lovely restaurant for us to use for this good purpose. Tim and I have been buddies for a while now, and if you guys follow me on Facebook, you know my Sunday selfie picture is always taken right around the corner there, where I'm enjoying something completely crazily delicious, and just getting, after going to church, I come here and I get my cup filled for the week. So thank you for doing
You're
that.
welcome.
And also thank you for being such a wonderful, Oakland entrepreneur and just looking out for the city. And one of the things I love about coming here is that it is filled on Sunday with all these families and all different colors of families and all different sizes of families and all different kinds of families. And it's just a beautiful place to be. And that's why I moved to Oakland when I came here from the East Coast. And that's what I think when I think of Oakland. I see a big visions like that, multi-generational, interracial, folks having a good time, sitting down to a good meal. Right, so thank you for that. So I have a little gifty thank you for you. And Oakland Better Birth Foundation gives a little appreciation and award to folks like you who do wonderful things. And we call it our Good Birth Keeper Award. So let me read it.
Okay.
So I'd like to present to Tim Nugent and Shakewell Restaurant. Oakland Better Birth Foundation recognizes Tim Nugent and Shakewell Restaurant and declares him to be a good birth keeper. This due to his devotion either by word, deed, or practice to the health and well-being of birthing mothers, birthing persons, families, and their children. Thank you.
We are. Thank you very much, Samsarah.
You're very welcome.
Not necessarily thank you.
You're very welcome. Yesterday we had a sweet little event over by Lake Merritt of our Oakland Breastfeeding Festival. It was just so lovely. And I got to re-meet a beautiful mama that had had the pleasure to know before and see her little baby. She shared some amazing spoken word with us yesterday, and I invited her to come and please share it with us again. So we want to come on up and introduce herself. Look at this little angel face.
I gotta pull my skirt down.
Oops.
I can look like that. I'm gonna stand up. I'm short.
Is it okay?
It's hard to get on those.
We can get you you can sit down, Lola.
No, it's okay. No, it's good. Everybody see me?
Yeah.
Hey. Oh yeah.
I'll do it for
I'm
you.
so used to not having the microphone.
It's okay.
Hey everybody, my name is Aquila, and this is my little girl, Michaela, and my husband over there is Dad. We are happy to be back here in Oakland. We live in Richmond. Thank you so much, Samsarah, and the Oakland Better Birth Foundation for letting us come back. I'm a spoken word artist, and I'm a new mom. It's exciting, this journey of love. Oh, Michaela, you're gonna hold it for me? Thank you.
I'm afraid she's going to replace her pacifier.
She's in the exploring stage. She's 11 months. She'll be 1 on the 13th. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to just share the story. If you guys have any questions afterwards, I can fill in what I have to say. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna share the raw version of my poem. I didn't do it yesterday, but I really want you guys to hear the raw. It's called Blood, Sweat, and Many Tears, a Birth Story. A woman in labor is okay to act like a bitch. Here's why. 11 months ago, I did what millions of women have done since Eve. I had a baby. After 5 days of indescribable pain, no sleep and weight gain that seemed to transfer to my feet, I could no longer endure anymore. They touched and prodded my stretched and swollen pussy for the last time. Leaked amniotic juices, blood, meconium baffled all the female cast of midwives, nurses, students, doulas, and a doctor. Because here comes the miracle. I didn't have a fever or developed a disease after the water broke. Pop, I heard it, and felt my insides release the brown reddish fluid. But something was wrong. I was rushed to the emergency to see if the worst could be prevented. I didn't want to be here, claustrophobic, closed in like a Rubik's Cube in between scores of walls in the hospital, because we had planned. The birth plan to ultimately give birth in water. Water always seemed to do the trick. Wash all the pain, bitterness, and shame I suffered as a child. Yeah, #MeToo. Water was familiar, where I felt safe, but this time water hurt. And they kept coming in, concerned that I hadn't dilated. Getting to 10 wasn't going to be easy. They offered drugs, you know the kind, to make it easy. But I told them no, and held on as long as I could, until I couldn't anymore. Sleep called out my name, and the pain yelled even louder. Then I told them, I don't want to be here. Yet again, we tried everything. Walking, listening to music, singing, dancing sort of, poetry, Reiki, then water again. And the 4th day came. With much reluctance, I took a chance and they filled me with a sleeping drug. I slept like I had never slept before. When I came to out of my stupor, I felt brand new. And then there was excruciating pain. I felt the need to push and breathe and push. The chorus of feminine energy, no boys allowed, flooded in and out the room anticipating her. One held my right hand and the other held the left. My lover held my right leg and someone else held my left. And someone still held a mirror so I could see. But I was deep in it, breathing. And on the 5th day, with one last push and a breath, our miracle baby made her entrance. And I yelled at the student nurse, "What are you doing? That hurts. I just gave birth. Why are you pushing so hard?" And it must have scared her because I never saw her again. Now, as I hold my little princess, whom we affectionately call Baby Love, I think about all the journeys before her. I had her at almost 39, just a race against time. The clock was ticking so loud my ears hurt. Sometimes when tragedies happen, the mind and body becomes frozen. You just want to crawl in a ball and stay warm under the covers. Hibernation, frustration, meditation, contemplating the situations. But remember, the battle is not yours, it's the Lord's. A journey of struggle, a journey of boldness, a journey of transformation, a labor that leads to everlasting love. I'm an author. My book is called Stop Hurting and Dance. And it's basically, I'm a survivor, so I was abused by my dad and my stepdad. So I talk a lot about my struggle and other people's struggle of pain and how we can heal. And I decided in 2010 to rewrite my story. And so that's what I've been doing as a spoken word artist, author, journalist. And I've won awards. And it's been great. My most important thing right now is being a mom. And I'm loving it. I'm seeing all of her developments and I haven't missed a beat. Thank you guys.
tell our stories. We all have a birth story. Some of us have more than one. We all have a story about how we got here. And it's always interesting to me when I'm working with clients, it's something that I ask them, and almost universally they don't know. So I want to just make a recommendation that if there's family around, don't wait, because I just lost my mom this year. Mamas have a way of going to heaven on us. Sit her down and have her tell us the story of how this beautiful novel, which is our lives. Hey, Andrea. How did it start? How did she feel? How long was it? How short was it? There's important details there about ourselves that it's important that we have. The Bay Area is an interesting and curious and amazing place. And one of the things I'm incredibly proud of is being a birth worker in the Bay Area. We have amazing, amazing, amazing folks doing amazing, amazing, amazing work on behalf of mamas and birthing people and their families. And I'm very fortunate to know Miss Monica Pacmore. She's gonna come up and talk. We've known each other, what, 3 years now?
Going on 4.
Going on 4.
Actually going on 5 because I was funded in 13.
That's right, girl. Oh, hello, my love. I'm gonna have her give you her amazing resume because it really is just an amazing and wonderful resume. And I just really want to be a little beautiful fun. I just want to really honor my sister and friend because we were chatting earlier about we're living in very stressful times, and the more vulnerable of us are really taking it in the teeth. And so it's really important for us to stand up and take it in the teeth for them, for the vulnerable ones. And in my mind's eye, that's little babies and their mamas and their parents, right? So Monica has some wisdom to share with us, and some experience and some data, because she researches, it's her little brain, it's like all the stuff in it. And if she feels up to it, maybe some questions after.
Yeah, of course.
And so I'm going to hand it over to Monica McLemore.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you all for letting me be here. This is one of my favorite places. If you don't know me, I actually live in the neighborhood. Tim, thank you so much for your kindness and the staff. I mean, I just love y'all. I'll probably be back this weekend for brunch. Because I come here when I'm home, because it's such a cool place, and Tim has really created a real space here in Oakland on Lake Shore. That means a lot to me and my partner, James. Thanks to Samsarah, I'm going to tell some stories. So I'll tell you a couple of stories, and I'm a big fan of dates. So I was born in 1969 on New Year's Eve, and but my birthday should have been on Valentine's Day. I was a preemie in 1969. So part of the reason why I do the work that I do is because birth outcomes have not gotten any better since I was born, and that was almost 50 years ago. Yes, I'm older than Alma. And so when I'm not here eating with friends, and I'll tell a story about how I met Samsarah. I am an assistant professor at the University of California, San Francisco. I am a research scientist with Advancing New Standards in Reproductive Health, which is a program of the Bixby Center for Global Reproductive Health at UCSF. And I work as a staff nurse where I've worked for the last 17 years at Zuckerberg San Francisco General, which is where I came from. So my apologies for my informal attire. In 2013, I had been a researcher for about 3 years. For the last 27 years, I've only worked in birth work. So like Samsarah, baccalaureate degrees in nursing, masters in public health, PhDs in nursing. And so I've only worked with birthing people my whole life, which is kind of ironic because I don't live with children. I'm not a parent. I was at both my nieces' births, and they are 19 and 22, and they're both taller than I am. And I have to say, in 2013, I was very frustrated by mass incarceration. My father was a judge and a lawyer, and before that he was a cop and a Marine. And so criminal justice has always been a huge part of my life. But when Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, came out, it moved me in ways that I just couldn't imagine. And San Francisco General Hospital has always had a doula program at the hospital. It's been volunteer. and it's to provide people who need doulas the most the opportunity to have a doula. And they came to me and said, Dr. Monica, Nurse Monica, we need your help. We really want to expand our services. Will you help us? And I said, sure, what do you need? They said, we need data. So I pulled together all of their files. I did all the stuff that us researchers do to be able to get them their data. And we wrote a grant together, which brought us over to Oakland. And I moved to Oakland. I was living here. I've lived in the city for 19 years. And, you know, it was so cool to be over here and be welcomed in that way. And our project was to provide doula support for the pregnant people at Santa Rita Jail. And if anyone knows anything about that jail, they have had problems. Even last week, you know, a woman had to birth her baby on a cold floor, shackled, incarcerated there, and she was screaming. And people in the pods were trying to get the sheriffs to help, and it's just completely inhumane. And I think we as a society needs to figure out a way to stop locking up people, period. But we really need to stop locking up pregnant people. When we wrote our grant, we said, what are we going to do? We are going to train people who are incarcerated to become doulas. Because we knew the statistics at that time that, you know, 88% of people who are incarcerated are of reproductive age, and about 80% of them are parents to the children they already have. And at any given time, 25% of the women who are actually at Santa Rita Jail, and sometimes that number is in the 200s, are pregnant, so a quarter of them at any given time. And we really wanted to do something, and so Samsarah as an elder doula, as an elder birth worker, as someone with a great reputation, as someone everyone said, Monica, I can't believe you don't know Samsarah. Her and Linda Jones, they were like, you don't know Linda Jones? What? I met up with the Black Women Birthing Justice Collective, and we decided that we were going to train currently and previously incarcerated people to be birth doulas. We got the grant, we trained 16 women. They currently work as the Roots Labor Birth Collective. Not all of them were formally incarcerated. We brought in low-income women, but it was a woman of color training, and they are still supporting birthing people around the Bay Area. And what do? One of the most important things they do is breastfeeding. And because it's Black Breastfeeding Week, which is part of the National Breastfeeding Month, I want to give you some statistics. So getting human milk to babies really shouldn't be a controversial thing, right? And yet we're the only species that drinks another species' milk, right, voluntarily. Humans are the only species that drinks another species' milk. And part of it is social, right? We actually have a situation or circumstance where many of these social media platforms do not allow photos of breastfeeding women because breasts have been so sexualized in our society, right? The actual function and physiological purpose that they serve in terms of our species, we can't represent that in positive ways in the media because people report that as pornography, right? About 1 in 4 infants are not breastfed at all, and that's a problem because we know that breastfeeding actually has huge lifelong impacts. And when I say breastfeeding, I'm needing to correct myself because I need to say getting human milk to human babies. Some people can't feed off the breast. Some people need to pump. Some people need to supplement. Some people wear these incredible garments that allow them to breastfeed, but not necessarily from their breast or their own nipple. And we need to honor all of that because getting human milk to babies is super important. At the same time, no stigma, no shame. And some people cannot physiologically breastfeed, particularly people who take medications to stave off seizures, particularly people who are in treatment for cancer. We forget that there are some people who medically and clinically cannot breastfeed. So no stigma, no shame. But at the same time, for the people who really want to breastfeed, for the people who want to get human milk to their baby, there's a whole load of barriers. I mean, one alone is that people have special places that they have to go because we can't feed another human in public. Which is kind of ironic to say in a restaurant where people sit around eating with other humans, right? I mean, the first time I saw that pod in the Oakland airport, we have to like shut people away and hide them away in special places. Some work accommodations don't have breastfeeding. Where do people breastfeed? In the bathroom. You know how gross that is? To have your meal in the bathroom, right? We don't think about that. We haven't built a society that supports breastfeeding individuals. We know that for Black moms who are 3 to 4 times more likely to die based on pregnancy-related complications. I was just on a tweet chat with several of the nation's large researchers hosted by Moms Rising and the Black Women for Wellness and the Black Women's Health Imperative. We had a Twitter chat talking about Black maternal morbidity and mortality. We could cut that in half if Black women were supported in being able to breastfeed and to keep human milk for their infants. One of the things that me and my team are working on is paid family leave. It's great if you go home, you got your breastfeeding, you initiated in the hospital. We have our baby-friendly hospitals. It only looks at initiation, not continuation, not duration, not what supports do you need when you go home. So if you have to go back to driving for Lyft and Uber because that's your supplemental income in the gig economy 10 days after you have your baby, you may not be able to be successful in continuing to consistently breastfeed your child. Or worse, at a place like I work at UCSF, if you have to supplement your own leave with your actual paid time off. We're a health sciences campus. And we've been working to try and make it better for our own staff and our own faculty to be able to have breastfeeding accommodations. We need to rebuild a whole different workforce and a whole different support system for parenting people if we want to see people be successful. We know that the lifetime risk of diabetes, hypertension, these chronic conditions that are exacerbated by stress, that are overexpressed in populations of Black people could be mitigated if we just allow them to be able to have access to human milk as children. But we don't have the collective or political will to be able to support these necessary preventive health interventions. So I'm gonna leave you with one more story because I think it's super important. When you think about the power that we have as citizens, one of the greatest powers that we have is the power of the pen and the power of the ballot box. So if you can get as many individuals registered to vote, because we have midterm elections that are coming up, it matters. Because that's how funds are allocated both back to the states, to the communities, to support these important public health interventions. Breastfeeding is one of the most important interventions. If we could get everyone who can to be able to do it, we would have such better health outcomes. And so I'm really honored and both grateful to be here with all of you, and I'm glad to have had some time to talk with you about the importance of breastfeeding. But I have to be really, really honest, we need everyone's help behind this because we need to make an investment in the future, and I always think that breastfeeding is exactly that. So I will take any questions that you have. I could bore you to death with a ton of statistics, so if you want to talk about that, I'm happy to do that as well, both local and national. And I can tell you that part of the Better Birth Foundation and all the amazing doulas in Oakland have actually been improving the breastfeeding rates here in Alameda County. So we actually have had an improvement in the last year, which makes me really, really happy. But there's so much more that we need to be doing as well that can really, really help special populations of moms, particularly teen moms and youth, and particularly for moms who this is not their first baby. Those are the individuals that we're really finding are having a really hard time with breastfeeding continuation. And it makes sense. If you're a teen and you're a youth, and if you already have other children that you need to care for, you have competing priorities. And I think we as a society are smart people who can figure out a great way to be able to continue to support people and being successful. So with that, I'll stop there and I'll take whatever questions people have. Tell me who you are and please share your question.
Hi. So thank you so much. My name is Elle, and I first of all want to thank you because that was, I'm incredibly touched by what you had to say, and I think it's really important. I mean, I'm a mom of a toddler and I'm still nursing her, and it's challenging, and I've seen the pod at the airport and talk to people on planes when I'm nursing next to them on a plane, and it's like, isn't that awkward for you? I'm like, isn't it awkward for you now that you're asking me if it's awkward for me? Like, I'm just doing something normal and now you're being really weird.
Hi, welcome. Come on in.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming to speak, and I know this is maybe a smaller group than we hope to have, but you've really touched me, and I think things you're saying I'm somewhat aware of, but you've definitely turned into more of an activist, and I'm ready to take a bigger role and be more active in things. And
So let me stop you there,
Yeah.
because I neglected to say that the tweet chat that I was on is called Moms Rising, and I'm gonna give Samsarah and make sure everybody has my contact information. Moms Rising is a group that you want to join. They're training new moms to become activists and to really be able to amplify the common sense that you're saying. Sorry to cut you off.
no, totally
I
fine.
forgot
So,
to identify it.
I've been really lucky and supported, but I want to know if there's any current legislation that we should be rallying for or against. I'd love to know that now, and then if there's any, I don't know if there are, but hopefully there's, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so that's the question then.
There's 3 bills that I know about, 2 of which I helped co-author. So one came out around Mother's Day, and it's called the Mama Act. And the Democrat, Robin Kelly, who's amazing, badass black woman from Chicago, authored the Mama Act. So it's Maternal Offspring, Maternal Offspring Morbidity and Mortality Awareness Act. There's 4 tenets to it, and it's new spending of new money for provider education, public education campaign, establishing maternal morbidity reviews, and then to be able to fund some research. Now, the reason I pointed out that it's new monies is, as we all know as citizens, because of sequestration, we can't have any new spending in the United States unless something is reduced. And with a new tax cut in January, we have no idea what we'll have money left for new spending for. So again, please have as many people as you know vote during the midterms. So the Mama Act is from Robin Kelly in Chicago. Our own Senator Kamala Harris introduced legislation last Thursday, which does many of the same things, except it also provides a greater access to midwives and doulas, and midwives are specifically mentioned in her bill. And in terms of lactation support, paid family leave for, and not just using FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, or your own disability funds, but actual paid family leave. That's in Kamala Harris's bill. The third bill is a bipartisan bill. It's SB 1112, and that's from Senator Butner, who I believe is maybe out of Michigan, and she's a Democrat, and then there's a Republican out of Maine, and then there's another Republican out of Texas. That's a House bill. That's been the bill that's been endorsed by the most individuals, and it's called the Maternal Morbidity and Mortality Act. Because it's bipartisan, because it's the oldest of the bills, and because it's budget neutral. It will borrow existing monies from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and from the National Institutes of Health. Everyone thinks it's the one that will pass because it basically shifts dollars from other, not non-essential services, but it pulls from the research enterprise and then puts it into the public health service, basically. That's probably the only bill that's going to go anywhere because it is budget neutral, because of the sequestration issue and the tax bill. That may go somewhere. None of the bills have been scheduled for a floor vote, and none of the bills have been heard by the full House or Senate yet. So they're still in committee, and they're coming. But Moms Rising has done a whole letter writing campaign. They've asked for some up or down votes. The Senate, as you know, next week will be tied up with the Supreme Court nomination of Brett Kavanaugh, and so we've got all this sort of distractions from how we really should be taking best care of our citizens. So nobody thinks those bills will go anywhere until we see what the results of the midterms are going to be. And I can get you those specific language. I actually have PDFs of all the bills, links to their sites, and we'll connect.
Yeah, great, thank you.
And I'll be happy to share that information on the Facebook page as well. Hi, tell us who you are, please.
Thank you. I'm Jessalyn. I'm the assistant to Samsarah. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm a research nerd, so I get really excited when someone gets up here who I know has got lots of the facts. And I mean, working with Samsarah, we do a really, I think, excellent job of educating our clients. And most of them in this area, we're lucky to work with clients who get it and want to breastfeed. I'm 30, I don't yet have children, and a lot of my friends don't yet have children. And I'm astounded by how many of my peers around the country really think that the science says that formula and breast milk are equivalent. And it's driving me up a wall because I know that's not true.
Right.
And there seems to be something happening in like popular science magazines where there's this like overkill of PC-ness, and that desire not to shame anyone leads to all this misinformation.
Yeah.
And I'm really, I work here, but I'm also very present on social media and really trying to help inform my peers. No, that's not true, I'm sorry. Like, I wish it was that easy, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if any of the research groups you work with have, a clear, definitive layman's statement that I can send people to so they can stop spreading this misinformation.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. Thank you for that one. One of the biggest, baddest groups that I work with is called the Black Mamas Matter Alliance. And BMNA is amazing. They are headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, and they function as a fiscally sponsored organization under Sister Song, which is one of the reproductive justice collectives and one of the primary leaders of advancing reproductive justice across the country. The Black Mamas Matter Alliance in April released what they're calling a black paper, as opposed to a white paper, which talks about holistic care when working with black mamas. I'm on the research team, and we're going to release a new black paper, and they're actually having their first ever convening and training December 7th through the 9th in Atlanta. That second black paper is called Ethical Conduct of Research with, for, and by Black Mamas. And we lift up 3 content areas where we really believe that some of the research has actually gotten better and had been done by black mamas and black women. One of those areas is breastfeeding, and that there's going to be a 1-page fact sheet for all 3 of those areas. The other 2 areas, one is centering pregnancy, which is a group care model of being able to provide prenatal care, postpartum care, breastfeeding support in groups where people can learn intergenerationally, as well as learn from each other and the clinician. The third fact-based paper is around postpartum contraception. But that middle one is around breastfeeding and breastfeeding support. And it's a layperson toolkit that will have fact sheets. There's a podcast that's going to be coming, as well as a media kit, because we too have been very frustrated around the false equivalence of saying, oh, well, formula is just as good as breast milk, trying to show the science around the microbiome and how immunity is developed among and between babies, so that some of the allergies that we're seeing have been directly associated with use of formula and not use of populating the gut microbiome using breast milk. And then the other piece of the fact sheet is to be able to also say you're missing essential vitamins, enzymes, and other developmental blocks that have not been appropriately characterized or included or supplemented within formula that are not digested well by babies. So we have a whole simple, and it's all infographics. It's not words. It's just all really cool pictures and a few words, but they're not coming until December. We had really wanted to have them ready for this year's Black Breastfeeding Awareness Week, but we just couldn't get it.
Good Christmas present.
So December those pieces will be coming. And with a direct focus to the public and with a direct focus to the media, because we realize that they're perpetuating a lot of these false narratives around, oh yeah, breast milk and formula equivalent, done. But that goes back to the direct marketing of formula and the loss of all of the sort of tips, traditions, best practices around breastfeeding intergenerationally. So that was purposive, and we're trying to undo some of that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Question. Other questions? Well, I'm very grateful for letting me be here and to be in my own neighborhood and to help lift up Samsarah and the Oakland Better Birth Foundation's work. It's really incredible, and I know just by association, you all are incredible people who have been touched by her vision and her amazingness, and so I'm grateful to be in community with you all. I will give you all my contact information. I'm not hard to find, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible with any questions or any comments that you have for me. Thank you.
Too late. You should have told me that earlier. It's just too late now. So I appreciate you lifting me up, and I want to do a similar thing for you. We work real hard. We work for our babies, we work for our community, and I think it's important for us to take a moment, because I learned, I got a lot of therapy behind this, girl, that you got to take a moment and take your thank you. So, that being said, she's my mentor. I want to present my beautiful sister with her own shiny Good Birth Keeper Award. The Oakland Better Birth Foundation recognizes Monica McLemore and declares her to be a good birth keeper. This due to her fierce advocacy of the reproductive rights of women and birthing people, those rights being the right to have children, the right to not have children, and the right to raise one's children with adequate resources, safety, and dignity. I like that I get to do that for wonderful people. So where were we now in our wonderful thing? Miss Andrea, come stand next to me. This is Andrea Sandlin. She is one of our, she likes my dress too. She is one of our advisory board members for the Oakland Better Birth Foundation, and she is the new director for the Better Birth Association of Harlem. And that is the first time we get to say that publicly. And that association is an offshoot, is our baby that we gave birth to this year when I came to Brooklyn. And we talked at the milk bar. So we're going to be doing some wonderful projects supporting Sandrea's work in New York. And that gives me a good excuse to visit my hometown more often. Word! So I'm really happy about all of that. And I just want to say, tell you a little bit about the Oakland Better Birth Foundation. Thank you for the folks who are showing up. Thank you for my dear friends who always have my back. And, you know, the Oakland Better Birth Foundation was an offshoot of the work that I did when I was very involved with Occupy Oakland in this beautiful city. One of the things that was really interesting when we set up our children's village was all the community mamas that showed up there to play with their kids. And we talked a lot with a lot of the homeless mamas and looked at all the needs of this beautiful community. And I really took myself to task for a bit, because I've definitely been a birth worker for a long time. I've been doing this work for 38 years, 39 years in October. And, you know, but you kind of get into this kind of middle class space around your work and breastfeeding and stuff, and dealing and working with people. Even though I definitely did a lot of service to the teen mom community, but still those who have a certain amount of privilege. And I was devastated at the amount of devastation in this town as far as mothering and parenting was concerned. It's devastating to me. So he wanted to do more than what I was doing. And one of the things that Oakland Better Birth Foundation does is definitely provide services for parents, parenting education. I provide training for doulas, because there's an awful lot to learn about all the different populations that doulas can serve. And doulas are hard-working, struggling people who are giving everybody a sliding scale, and God bless them for doing that. They don't have time to be taking 12 $600 a piece classes to learn all the stuff that they need to know to be the best doulas possible. And I'm personally committed to having the Bay Area be the place where there are the best birth workers anywhere, everywhere, are going to come out of the East Bay. So we provide services for clients, whether they have funds or not. We provide services for doulas, whether they have funds or not, because information and care and support shouldn't be tied to how much money is in your bank account, period. So when we're running around raising money and doing all that stuff, we're bringing the money in so that we don't ever have to say no to anyone. We can take care of anybody who comes to us, and we work on a vision that those who have money get to help those who do not. You know, so between folks paying the best that they can within our sliding scale, and within folks donating, showing up at events. We are a fiscally sponsored organization as well. We're officially sponsored by Mother Health International, which is doing amazing work, mostly in Africa. They have 3 birth centers that they're running in Africa. And I very want to give big props to Rachel Zaslow, who's the director of Mother Health International and our fiscal sponsor. Thank her for her support. So I wanted folks to know what they were giving money for in case they didn't know. And we're really at a time where, there's no competition between birth workers. Women are dying. Babies are dying. We don't have time for pettiness. We need to support each other, lift each other up, praise each other, give to each other's GoFundMes, do whatever the heck we need to do. We are living in a country that has the worst infant and maternal mortality of any industrialized country, any of them. And it's real important when people run around going, rah, 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 USA, USA. I wish that was true. I wish it was, I was born here, Brooklyn girl, love my country, and I would like my country, that love of that country to mean something and to have tangible results from it, from my devotion, my personal devotion. So, also I know as a mom and a grandma, we have no business not being activists. Not trying to shame anyone, but I'm just trying to say, to be, fiddling while Rome burns is not a good look, and we should not be participating in that whatsoever. And there's so many different, mine is birth, Andrea's is birth and nutrition and parenting, yeah?
Fitness and yoga.
Fitness, yoga, good stuff. And so there's lots of work to be done, and everybody can take a little piece of it, and we still have a lot to do, until things shift. I believe in cyclical patterns. I know we're in a bad spot right now, but I have faith that it's going to cycle, especially if like-minded, good-hearted, especially if like-minded, good-hearted people do the best they can. Love always wins. Love always has won. I'm forgetting who I'm quoting right there. I'm quoting some amazing person who said that. But, not trying to plagiarize. But, the saying is that you look at all of the dark times in history, love ultimately always has won. And so my faith is in that. So thank you for supporting the work that we do. If you haven't bought a raffle ticket, please do so.
Yeah, last call.
Yeah.
Last call.
Last call, because we're about to, see who won what. And I'm selling copies of my book, The Birth Plan. So please feel free to buy one of those if you have a pregnant person in your life who would like to have some juicy information. Corporate people are not people. People are people. And if we remember that, we will walk well upon the earth. So thank you for listening to me.